Welcome back! Hey guys, I haven't really been messing around with this channel lately because my Bitcoin is like, what? Welcome back. I'm David the Good. I'm really excited today. Welcome back. I'm David the Good. In a little bit, we're gonna go take a look at the gardens, and I wanna talk about the results that we have so far from the 12-bed experiment. Sorry, I haven't been around very much the last few weeks because of, spy stuff and that kind of thing. But right now, before we go over to the garden, I want to show you something really, really cool that came out of my fridge.
Be nice to your mother and always say please. Be loyal to friends and compost your enemies. Be nice to your mother and
Back in the fall, right around Hurricane Sally, our neighbor down the road gave us some sand pears and said we could help ourselves to some off the tree. So, being the obsessive seed saver that I am, I took some of them and put the seeds in damp soil and spread them out. And check this out. You see this? These have been sitting in the fridge, and that is how you get them to germinate. And I've done videos on this before. It's the same as germinating apples and stone fruit and a lot of other things. So we have in here some germinating pear seeds. There's another one right there. Okay, so there's another one. You see that? Isn't that cool? And what I'm gonna do is plant them. Oh, there's a big one. Look at that. We're gonna plant these guys. There's another one right there. I love doing this. I like to have little projects running all the time and then I surprise myself. I like to stick seeds in the ground where I don't expect it and just plant random bulbs all over the place, whatever I happen to be doing during the day, and then I deliberately forget until later, like this afternoon. I thought, wait a minute, I should look in the fridge. I think I stuck some seeds in there. I got these cool pots. They're called containers. I got them from greenhousemegastore.com, which does not sponsor this channel. greenhousemegastore.com. These guys are really cool. I use these in my plant nursery for starting a lot of seedlings, and you just get this nice long thing. Like if you're starting seedling trees, instead of having to consume a massive amount of expensive potting soil, you have these nice long pots which you can use if you're doing like food forest projects and starting a whole bunch of little things. They're a really nice way to do it, and you can reuse them a lot of times. So I like them a lot, and they allow the taproot to go down really nice and deep. You just gotta be careful when you transplant them out that you don't break the roots down in the bottom. But these guys are really great if you start a lot of fruit trees from seed, or if you're starting nut trees or pawpaws and that kind of thing.
well, I met her at a picnic on the great big old green lawn out behind the Alberta Baptist Church. It wasn't her gray eyes or the pigtails in her hair that trapped my poor heart from the first. It was the pears in her salsa. I didn't use tomatoes.
I love these China markers because they allow you to write on plastic surfaces and glass and all kinds of stuff, and they don't fade like using a magic marker. So I use these things all the time in my plant nursery stuff.
You're my favorite kind of markers, China marker.
This bag here, I kind of lost track because we were saving the pits of different things that we were eating and leaving them on the countertops, and I don't know what they are. So they could be plums or pluots, probably. But we've got 2 sprouts here. Those look pretty good. And incidentally, I didn't mention this before, but this dirt is just the local dirt. And because I didn't want it to maybe cause dieback or bring any fungal diseases or anything, I baked it in the oven before dampening it slightly and putting the pits in there to germinate. So I sterilized it via baking it. But we got 2 out of there, and then the rest of them I will stick back in here and re-bag, and I'll plant these two. I don't know what they are. We'll find out. Now, here's another bag with some pits in it of something. Look at that. Something sprout. Look at that. Okay, some sort of plum, probably. Look at it, popped out of there, and it's starting to grow. This one's going already. We'll just call these unidentified stone fruits. Stone fruits really are very satisfying because they grow quite quickly and they often fruit very fast. I had a peach actually bloom and fruit at less than 2 years old from a pit. So that's very, very satisfying. All right, so these guys, who knows? Let's just mix them all together. I don't really care. But we will be, I mean, it's not like we're not going to grow them if they sprout, right? So we'll find out what they are in a few years. Some more excitement. Let's see what else I got here. I've got one last selection here. This is pretty interesting. In here, I stuck some sort of, I think these are peaches. These are peaches. These are peaches that are sprouting here. So I stuck these guys in this bag, which was already stratifying in the fridge. The rest of the seeds in here are not going to sprout in the fridge. They're going to sprout when I plant them out in the spring. These are northern pawpaws. I got the fresh seeds. I bought them on eBay from up north during pawpaw season, and I bought like 25 or 50 or something seeds off of eBay. And these guys just need to sit in the fridge all winter, and then when spring comes, we're going to plant them separate, and we'll see how they do. They usually almost all come up. But now, right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 have germinated, and then the rest of these guys I'll just stick back in the fridge. I'll plant these out, and then we can go take a look at the garden. There's not really that much to show right now. You know, it being a winter gardens. I sent the kids manure mining. The neighbor allows a farmer to run cows through her place, and he hasn't run any cows for the last year, and there was a big pile of manure where he used to feed them, and it was all scraped up into one big area of rotten stuff, and they don't spray anything. And secondarily, there were a lot of weeds growing on the manure pile, including tomato seedlings, so I knew that it wasn't contaminated with aminopyralids. I don't just trust any manure. I barely trust any manure ever, but this stuff I know is safe. So I had the kids go, and I paid them per load to go walking about a half a mile down the road, scrape up, fill the wheelbarrow, and come back. And so they got me a ton of it, and kind of made me somewhat broke for that day. But I'm going to be putting this all over all the beds that I created and giving it that organic matter, because the organic matter is really the missing piece of the puzzle right now. I've got the fertilizer mixes and the cool amendments, but there's nothing like having some good organic matter in the soil too for life. These long beds, which are at the leading edge of the garden before the test beds and everything else, these beds here are my typical, 3 to 4 foot wide raised dug bed. and they've all got winter rye in them right now. They have some peas in them. They have a few other things. Some of them have some clover. Whatever I happened to have for seed crop at the time got thrown in here. And there were lots of beans in them, but the frost took the beans out, which I expected. So it actually took the beans out, and the beans are rotting down into the ground. So that's feeding the soil just as I was hoping. You know, we spread the beans out here in September, and they were just about going into bloom, most of them, when they got frozen. So it's like perfect for nitrogen fixation, adding a little bit of mass to the soil. But these beds, I'm going to do what I did down in the Caribbean with them and plant in a polyculture of perennials in different heights. But we're gonna get to use some mild temperate climate stuff, which is gonna be really fun. So it'll be like going shopping down the rows here with all kinds of different stuff and flowers and everything all mixed in. And we just really need to get life into them. So what I've been doing is putting the manure on them, and then we've got the cover crop on them. And you know, the stuff that I tried to grow in these things when I first planted, these were the first beds I planted, the insects tore it up. They looked sick and anemic, and they had all kinds of problems right from the beginning. I was not happy with the growth at all. Yeah, it looked green in the videos, but I know what healthy plants are supposed to look like in healthy soil, and this is not it. This is like construction soil dirt. It's horrible. So we're going to restore the life and add a big polyculture, permaculture, sort of almost like a miniature alleyway food forest type of a thing in these beds, and I'm really looking forward to that. But right now it's just getting the minerals in the soil, getting the organic matter, and then of course growing a lot of organic matter. This rye will get nice and tall, and we can chop it down and lay it on the beds, and it'll rot in. We'll start to get worms in the ground, and we'll start to get a lot of fungal life, and then we'll just see how it goes. A couple of years of that, and it'll be amazing. But just wait. I mean, by May, June of this next year, this is going to look really awesome out here. And I'm not just doing the manure. This bed here has got biochar on it, and this is charged biochar, because in my amendment test project, the 12 bed test, the charged biochar is doing really good. The plants that are in it are just working out wonderfully, so I'm putting that into these beds. I just am really short on biochar. It takes a lot of time to burn enough biochar to cover as much space as I want to cover. So this one got a partial application, at least it's a start, and I really need to borrow a chainsaw. I don't really fancy buying a chainsaw, but borrowing a chainsaw would be great. I'm gonna borrow a chainsaw and cut up a bunch of the stuff that got knocked down during Sally, and then whatever that second thing came through, Zika or whatever it was, that other one. And there's a lot of stuff that got knocked down. I'm gonna chop all that up and make biochar out of it, and then spread it down these beds. These are gonna be long-term improved forever, because they're garbage right now, and they really need to be brought to life, because this is the worst dirt in the entire world. Okay, I keep talking about the test beds, but I haven't shown it to you yet. So this is the part of the video where I show you the test beds. So if you want to take notes, you want to take a moment, get a cup of tea, you know, to get the proper enjoyment of looking at test beds, whatever you have to do some centering exercises. I have this centering exercise, you've seen me do it before. I just take things and I throw them. Okay, good. Got your tea. This is the bed first here. This is the Neptune's Harvest fish and seaweed that we tested. Now it's only had 2 applications, and I gotta tell you, I did not do well on the application of the liquid nutrients. I could have done way better on it, and I think that's why none of the liquid nutrient beds did well at all. Urine didn't do well. Dave's Fetid Swamp Water didn't do well. This, the Neptune's Harvest did not do well. Nothing. Dynagrow did not do well. It's only because they got 2 harvests, they got 2 waterings with it, and there's a lot of rainfall here. And when the rainfall comes through, it just all blows out, and that's it. And there's almost no organic matter in the soil to hold anything, so it's gone. And so that's terrible. All right, let's move to the next one. This is the lasagna garden bed, and this one is much happier. You can see we've actually got pretty good looking turnips here. Not bad. Not bad. We got turnip there too. Nice big white turnips. And here we've got our nice big red radishes. Very pretty. So those are actually ready to eat, but I don't have my sense of taste back yet after being sick, so I can't really do a side-by-side taste test. We're just gonna have to wait until I get my taste back, and then we can do our side-by-side taste test with the ones that have come in. So this bed, I would say this is in the top 3 right here. This next one, this is the alfalfa meal, where we tilled in the alfalfa meal first. We had poor germination rates in the bed, but it's definitely not bad. This is not a bad growth. It's not as good as the lasagna, but I would say this is part of a healthy, balanced breakfast. Some shredded alfalfa. This next one here is just cover crops, and you can see the cover crops are actually suffering because of how poor the soil is. Look at this rye. This looks pathetic. And these peas, these are pathetic. This really needs a good feeding of something else just to get it started. Even if it was just throwing 10-10-10 on it, to give this stuff some biomass so it's producing more carbon. And oh my gosh, it's so bad. This is sick looking. Yeah, it's green, but it's sick green. I mean, look at the green right over here. This is cover crop. This looks much better. And this had some leftover 10-10-10 thrown on it. I think I might have thrown some cottonseed meal on it too. That looks much better. Obviously, that's what we need. This bed right here, this is another one of the foliar feeding beds. This one is diluted urine, which is a great fertilizer. This looks horrible. Didn't get enough, obviously. It needed a lot more. Could have gone higher in the concentration. And if I hadn't been sick for almost 3 weeks, you know, probably would look better too. This one here is, let me check, because I don't remember. Oh, this is 10-10-10. So the 10-10-10 actually looks better than the one that was fed with urine. So that's the one that was fed with urine. This one's 10-10-10. But I would not call this a healthy garden. This looks pretty lousy. You know, we don't have much on these turnips. Look at those little, say a little turnip root. Not particularly impressive. The peas look okay, but they don't look great. And of course, we've had some hard frosts too, which don't help anything grow very well. Germination rate was poor. It's miserable. But if you look at the 10-10-10 compared to the control bed, this is the control. This is like a desert wilderness. Look at, there's not even weeds in here. Look at it. This is horrible. I mean, there's like itty bit there. There's a couple little bitty weeny weeds. Look at that. Now look over here at the 10-10-10. There was actually something for the weeds to eat. They're growing. But over here, this native soil with nothing in it, this is a wilderness. I don't even think there were the right bacteria for these peas to fix much nitrogen. They look terrible. I mean, that's awful. But if you come down here, this one, I would say out of the stuff that germinated, this is pretty good. This is Steve's mix. Look at this nice big radish right here. Steve Solomon's mix. Now Steve told me his mix should be used with organic matter, and I didn't do that because it was just amendments without anything, just throwing amendments on the native soil. So we've got turnips here. Some of these turnips are a little bigger than others. That one's pretty good. The peas look better. It's obvious that there's more nutrition in the soil, and these are making pretty nice big crowns. So just take a look at the Steve's mix right here, and then move on over and take a look at this control bed. Big difference. And I think Steve would say too, you know, he says go ahead and feed as needed during the season. So it looks like, you know, this one, this collard is doing way better than these little weenie collards. Who knows what's going on here? But there's probably so much nasty stuff in this weird acid soil that nothing is happy, you know. Let's move over here. This is Dave's Fetid Swamp Water. Not very impressive, and I have had good results with it in the past, so I think, again, it's an organic matter issue and not enough application. We've got massive leaching going on. Next one here, earthworm castings. Not bad. It's definitely better. Look at, there's stuff growing in it. There are weeds. Horrible germination rates. You know, all this stuff should be full of things. You could see some of the stuff that's growing, it's either gotten frozen or it was killed by organisms in the soil. This is pretty pathetic. But, you know, look at earthworm castings. They make a difference. There is a turnip. There's an actual honest to goodness turnip right there. But it's still not enough. Next one here. This is the charged biochar. This is much better. Look at the amount of weed growth in there in between. Collards are kind of doing okay. The radishes are making radishes. They are not as big as the ones in Steve's mix, and they're not quite as big as the ones that are in the lasagna garden, but we are actually going to get decent stuff out of here. So, last one is just the Dynagrow by itself. Did not have enough applications. It's pretty sad. Again, so none of the liquid feeding thing really worked particularly well without some life already in the soil. Probably if I had come out and every time they were watered, every time after it rained, I gave it some more, maybe 2 times a week, it would have made a difference. You probably could grow something just fine in here. Just treat it kind of like a hydroponic system where the dirt is just holding the roots and you're constantly watering it with a weak solution. But for winners, biochar would be 3rd place, lasagna garden 2nd place, Steve's mix 1st place, with a pretty close 1st and 2nd between the lasagna bed and Steve's mix. And so what I'm learning here, this amendment test is saying foliar feeding is not going to be enough for the crops. They need that organic matter in the soil. Where there's organic matter, as in the case of the alfalfa, even the alfalfa, which didn't do great, that bit of organic matter made a big difference. And the organic matter in the lasagna garden made a difference. So combining the minerals, the long-term carbon of the biochar, plus organic matter, we are going to have an absolutely insane garden. If we stack our top amendments together into the gardens for spring, we will have fantastic gardens. So that's what I'm doing. Doing the cover crops on top, putting biochar in, putting in the composted manure. We'll put down, I'll throw some alfalfa flakes on top. I'll throw Steve's mix on there so I get all those tiny little micronutrients. And then I will foliar feed them. And when I do foliar feed them, it'll soak in and it'll stay and they'll get that extra perk off of the top. So this amendment experiment has been very useful, even though we've had bad germination rate, we've had hard freezes. I didn't take care of it as well as I should have with the foliar side of it. The foliar thing we could try again, but the stuff where we actually put amendments in the ground, even 10-10-10 is better than nothing on the soil. But I think if you really work to build the soil up with a combination of minerals and carbon, humus, it's going to be fantastic comparatively. Just stack them all together and imagine, you know, turnips this big. That's what's going to happen. They're going to be like that big. Not bad. So these are conventionally grown, but I gave them micronutrients as well. I foliar fed them. But you can see things are looking pretty beat. We had a 23-degree overnight, which is pretty harsh. Past the mid-20s is not so great for turnips. I'm eating turnips for dinner. Can you make some turnips for dinner? My wife's a solid carnivore. She doesn't know why I eat these things. Oh yeah. Look at that. These are nice and sweet. I have been very happy with these turnips. I like turnips. I like turnips not because they taste awesome, but because they're really easy to grow and it's fun to yank things out of the ground. I just like root crops in general. But I have to say, compared to the purple top turnips I grew before back in North Florida, these are really good. I didn't really like those purple top turnips very much, but these white globe and the white lady turnips have been very nice. I like this. It's got a nice delicate flavor, slightly sweet, very pleasant, a little bit earthy. And I think that may be a combination of variety, but it's also probably the micronutrients that we gave them. They've got the Neptune's fish and seaweed fertilizer, and I gave them Dynagrow, so they've gotten, you know, those 16 nutrients in there. Like, man, they're good. Look at that. That's cool. That's not a turnip. That's a daikon. This is the garden of white roots. There we go. That's cool. Okay, come see this one. This is like the granddaddy of all daikons. Look at that puppy. That is cool. The nice thing about these too is you can eat the leaves and you can eat the roots. But I have discovered that the sand here, it has this weird grittiness to it and it sticks to everything. The sand in Florida didn't stick as much, but this sand will stick, and you have to really, really wash all the leaves and everything, because otherwise you end up with really gritty turnips and daikons. It's terrible. But once you clean them really well, the flavor of these is very nice. These are not as sweet as the turnips. They've got a bit of bitterness to it, but I really, really like them. But that is impressive. It's the biggest one we've had yet. I think I'll just let them go. These respond a lot better to the cold. The turnips are not happy, and the cabbages are not happy. But the daikons, they don't mind. They go right through. They're a really good cover crop for that reason, even in a little colder climate than ours. Here's another big one. That looks good. It's almost as big as the other one. Not bad. So I was curious here, like I'm just about to wrap this video up. So I promise you, you can, yeah, I'm gonna finish it. I will finish. This video will end. But I came over here because I thought, I wonder if any of the daikons that are in the cover crop area, because I threw some seed out, are doing well. Like the ones that are not being cared for and are mixed in with a bunch of other stuff. Look at that thing. That is a daikon. You know what? That's not even a con. That's a dipro. There, look at that sucker. It's funny, the bottom of it maybe kind of hit the hard ground, but okay, let's look at that thing compared to the other big ones that I pulled that I actually was trying to take care of. And it's permaculture, dude. Like you just like throw the seeds out there and like nature just like, wow. See, it was like mixed in with a whole bunch of nature, so it's like, whoa. There we go, look at that. That looks very happy and healthy. And I bet you there's some more like that out here. I'm gonna just walk through here, but like you're not supposed to do. Walking through the jungle. That may have just been a freak because it was at the edge, and you know, us permaculture guys, we're always about the edge. Living on the edge, living on our parents' sofas, that kind of thing. No, they're not as impressive. Probably because they didn't get enough industrial, they didn't get enough permaculture. They probably need more water, actually. I may have planted a little too dense. Right at the edge there, the biggest, hugest, scariest looking daikon. Now I know, some of you are like, I've seen daikons that are like that big, you know, like when I was in Nam. But, okay, this is big for me, all right? Just let me have my moment. Yeah, that's not very big there. But, yeah. I think I'm gonna scooch that little turnip out of there too. Look at that, I scooched that turnip. Anyhow, thanks for joining me as I pull white roots out of the ground. Maybe next time we'll pull some red roots out of the ground. Just kind of mix it up a bit. I hope you guys had a very exciting 2020. I had a really exciting 2020. That was a year, wasn't it? And I thank you all for waiting around. I was sick for a few weeks and I have not been back in the garden or doing very much. We had a good stream the other night for the first time in a long time, so thanks to all of you that showed up for that. And of course, if I don't show up on YouTube for any period of time, be sure to check out my website, thesurvivalgardener.com, because I post there almost every day, even when I'm sick. That is my regular, ongoing gardening information thing. But I had a lot of fun today, and it's nice to be back. Thank you all for the well wishes. Thanks to all the channel members that we have, my unauthorized subscribers, those of you who even sent me Christmas cards. That's fantastic. God bless you all. Thanks for joining me. Hope you have a great 2021. I'm going to be doing some filming down in the South Florida Food Forest Project soon, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, may your thumbs always be green.